Hello, my name is Judy and welcome to my channel. I have a lot of things I've been talking about, of course, and if you've watched them all, I always suggest this to people that they watch from number one all the way through in order, including all the little songs and interviews and sound bites and everything I have, because I put them there for a reason, and I do believe they cement my ideas a little bit better, or open up your mind perhaps to something, because music and especially music, but even interviews and just different things, movie clips, they can all really help somebody to see something that I've seen in a visual or an audible way that maybe I can't provide. So if you haven't gone back to number one and gone all the way through, I know there's a lot. Take your time, one or two a day, one every other day, one a week, however long it takes. But I think that you'll understand more about most of the things I say later if you watch everything from number one on in order. Anyway, I don't know what number this is, but it's pretty high up there. I'd like it if you'd subscribe also. That would be great. Subscriptions, likes, bells, all that stuff, So this subject today, trust. I could go a lot of places with this. In humanity, trust is difficult. Starting in my life, and I'm only going to talk about me really, because I don't know what other people are experiencing exactly. I know everybody has issues with trust. Everybody has issues with feeling safe, not abandoned or betrayed, that kind of thing. So I'm just going to talk about me, and maybe you can relate. And at least, hopefully, I'll make a point. I'm not sure what the point's going to be yet, but I'm working on it. I'm just going to go there and see what happens. But I know that I want to talk about it. So, in this life, Judy, not Soul, just Soul's experiencing it and just laughing, having a great time. And Judy's had a few issues with trust on both sides, people trusting me and me trusting them. And I know that it's a part of the human experience. If we didn't have any trust issues, then I don't think we could learn about love very easily. Because they always say you can't love somebody unless you trust them. I think that might be true if you're talking about true and absolute divine love, but maybe not. See, I'm just thinking about this right now. This is just a thought that's going through my head, is that divine love would be like God has, and they wouldn't notice fault. They wouldn't feel abandoned. Divine love is perfect. So if it's truly absolute love, it would be unconditional. And you could love somebody and still maybe not trust them. Guess I should have scripted myself here because I don't quite know where I want to go with the spiritual side of this. But maybe as I'm talking, it'll come to me. Maybe somebody will whisper in my ear. Take a second to listen. Guess expectations are tough. Anyway, let's start over. So as far as trust is concerned, when I was young, as you may know, because maybe you have watched a few other videos where I've talked about this, I had an experience in growing up where I was emotionally abandoned. I couldn't trust. I guess I really couldn't trust anybody in my house. Because my mother she had her issues, and she was, I couldn't count on her to be nice to me or to even want to know who I was. I think my sister watched all that, and it caused her a lot of internal turmoil, because I'm sure she knew it wasn't right, but she certainly didn't want it to happen to her either. So she kind of had to take sides sometimes, and it wasn't mine always. My father had other issues. My stepfather, he'd had kind of a rough way to go, and I couldn't really trust him to be a really good dad. He tried to be a good person around me most of the time, but there were things that he did that weren't right either. Then I had a friend. Her name was Kathy. And I've had a couple of friends named Kathy. This was the one I was friends with first. She and I, along with a couple of other people, hung out all the time when we were, 9, 10, 11, 12, something like that. And one day, she was about 13. I think it was right around her 13th birthday, actually, right after her 13th birthday. Her birthday was in June. And then we had another girl that lived in the neighborhood who had 2 brothers. Her name was Debbie. And Debbie and her family were going camping, and they decided to invite Kathy along. So they did that. And we were like so sad we weren't going to see each other for a week, And I'll see you, and I hugged her goodbye, I'll see you in a week. We were like best friends, or I thought we were. She came home from the camping trip and literally didn't call me, didn't talk to me. That was it. And I went up to her house, and we didn't have cell phones and stuff back then. This was like 1960, I don't know, 67, 68, something like that. Went up to her house, and her mother said, "It would be better if you and Kathy aren't friends anymore." What do you mean? What do you mean? I didn't know what I did wrong. I can kind of understand, perhaps, when I look back, from a perspective of what her mother was thinking about me. But how would Kathy just be able to turn it off like that, Abandonment. It nurtures mistrust. If you don't have anybody you can trust, you start thinking you can't trust anybody. And a couple of other experiences. I've talked about 1 or 2 of them here, but a couple others growing up. And long-term relationships that I also felt emotionally abandoned with. And then I've done a lot of my own stuff that was not right, Honestly, probably for understandable and, I don't want to say valid, but somewhat valid reasons, I did a lot of lying. The psychology of why is straight up understandable, and in the background, understandable, but when you're the one being lied to, it's hard to understand. And I lied so much. I knew I was lying. I wasn't one of those people who didn't remember the lie. I knew I was lying. I was lying to protect myself. I was lying to protect who people I love thought I was. And lying, of course, then when they find out the lie, or they think they know what the lie is, then they mistrust, and then, there's a certain piece of who you are that is in this life that is lost when somebody mistrusts you. Because they may never trust you again, or it may take a long time because they assume there's a lie. And I have an experience with one person in my life. I have a lot of experiences with lying. Unfortunately, it was a defense mechanism that I didn't consider. It just started to happen. And the more I did it and it seemed to help, the more I did it, you know. So I've gotten away from that, obviously, you know. I don't need to lie about things anymore. I do kind of, it's a weird, because I did it for so long when I was growing up or as a young adult, I feel it sometimes, like I want to lie, or I think I have to lie still, because it's almost like if you're addicted to drugs or alcohol or whatever, your coping mechanism when you don't have it and something starts to happen is to go to that. And it's almost like that. So I don't know whether lying was an addiction. I mean, I don't think I was lying about everything, but big things, and on occasion small things. Like for instance, if I knew when I was at home with my mom, if I knew that if she found out I did this or that, she would beat the heck out of me, and it would hurt, and emotionally and physically both. So if I could avoid being beat one time, I would lie. That kind of thing, you know, just to avoid the pain or avoid the whatever it is. But in more recent years, I have a person in my life who I love with everything I am. And in the past I have disappointed her. She knows that I lie a lot. And so she has a lot of mistrust. And directly I can understand, because there were some things that she asked me not to do that I did. You know, back in the day, this is, you know, at least, I don't know, 10 or more years ago. And they were small things really, but they were big to her. And I didn't realize what I was doing exactly, but from that point forward, I promised I would never do these things again. And it took us a long time to find a space where we could be comfortable and, I thought, trusting of each other. She doesn't know, but I had some mistrust too. Sorry, I went back into my memory for a moment. Ugh. Anyway, this is very somber, isn't it? I don't mean it to be. We're going to get to the spiritual end of this, but so recently, the reason I'm making this video, why I was inspired to write it too. I wish I could have written it; it wouldn't be turning out like this. But anyway, the reason that I decided to make this video is because it hit me really hard the other day. Something happened. I have mentioned my my very sick nephew, and he is getting better, but he is, after having COVID and being on a ventilator for 2 months, and he's still on a ventilator, although they're weaning him off, but you know, it's still there. My his immediate family got together and created a little video for him. It was really nice. And I sent copies of the video to a couple people who were in the video. And the other people who weren't in the video, they kind of probably would have wanted them too. I was going to wait for them to ask, trying to be very sensitive to other family members' needs, wants, whatever. Boy, that slapped me in the face. You know, you're trying really hard to protect a relationship, to nurture what you think you have finally created, a feeling of trust. And it takes about 3 seconds, 1 sentence, to realize that all the work that you've done, all the times that you considered another person and put their feelings first because you wanted to gain the trust that you feel that you've lost. It doesn't take long or much to realize that trust still isn't there. I think it's not going to ever come back. At this point, I feel a little bit sad about that because this is somebody I really, really care for and have been feeling very, very close to in lots of different ways. So I didn't do anything against this person's wishes at all. I didn't even consider it. I didn't even want to. But for her, she doesn't believe that. She thinks I'm still doing whatever I did, 20 years ago. And nothing in our relationship has changed, really. I mean, I thought we were closer, and I thought we had kind of gotten past some of that, and that she was finally recognizing that I haven't done any of that. But boy, in a split second, it just turned. She assumed, because she thinks she knows me, and because she thinks she knows how people are, she was judging. She wouldn't like that, but she was. Coming from a space that is understandable. But having completely erased the 10 years of our relationship when that stuff didn't happen. And I get it. I get it. It just makes me sad that I thought we had gone beyond that, Trust is hard. It's a hard thing. I suppose there's people I don't trust. I can't think of who they are. I'm a little more naive. I'm like, oh, well, nobody will hurt me. But I do have trust issues, obviously, abandonment and all those things. Although they're a zillion, trillion times better, especially in the past 3 years. But even before that, I can say that in the past almost 30 years now, my personal feelings have evolved, and I'm not as insecure as I was, aside from meditating and having wonderful experiences with that, and going to therapy and figuring out a little bit more about who I want to be rather than who I thought everybody else thought I was. I leaned on what I thought people thought of me for a long time rather than who I actually was. So in the past 3 years, I've learned a lot more about who I actually am, and that has been really, really wonderful. But I'm still disappointed about my person in this life that I guess it's just not going to happen. So spiritually, let's lift this whole thing up right now, because right now you're going, oh, this is either the most boring thing I've ever heard in my life, why do I care about her, or please get to the point. I will. And nobody's probably ever going to see this from beginning to end, so you may never know the point, but I'm going to go with it. So the point spiritually about trust is I do think it is a building block of human love. Trust within divine love, the love God gives us, is a positive thing. It's maybe not a building block, it's a part of. Yeah, it's a part of love. It's a reflection of love. In the divine sense, for instance, God trusts that we will do our best, and we are moving forward. There's absolute trust in that. Divine love doesn't see a reason not to trust. Because divine love doesn't judge, it doesn't see wrong, it doesn't get jealous, it doesn't have an ego, it's not narcissistic in any way, it doesn't need to be praised, it doesn't have that. Divine love simply trusts because it is a loving experience, a loving thing to do. And it doesn't need a reason to trust. It doesn't need to be, it doesn't need to have it proven. Trust doesn't need to be proven to divine love. It's just a part of it. It's always. I'm so glad, thank you, but so glad I got that. But that's really good. But human love is weak. It has holes in it. It has the need to trust someone and to be trusted, because it's rather than it just being I want to say, an action that comes from divine love. It is an action somehow that proves lovability, something like that. So we're learning I don't even know whether trust is a very good word when you think about it, because, anyway, I won't get into semantics, but as humans, for me, for instance, what I'm learning in this life about trust is that first off, you have to earn it. Well, that's obvious. In human terms, trust isn't an easy thing. Because we've all been hurt. We've all been abandoned in some way. We've all had issues. And the relationship I have with this person is so much better than it's ever been. We have fun. We talk. She supports me. She I think, respects certain parts of who I am. She probably also thinks I'm a little crazy. I don't think I'll ever trust. I'll try until I die. I'll try to prove it to her that she can trust me. I get why she doesn't. I get why it's hard to let go of. But boy, really, I just didn't know that's how she still felt, So I have to learn how to react to that, because at the time, this was just like last week, at the time I was like, wait, you don't trust me? You think I'm lying to you? And I couldn't believe it, because I wasn't. I did everything exactly as she had wanted. Everything. And still immediately she jumped into, I don't think I can trust you. Bummer. However, so we'll have some karma, right? I'll get to spend some more time with her in another life, because I don't believe I'll get trust in this life. Maybe she'll betray me somehow, in the next life. Or maybe she already did. Maybe this is just paybacks. I don't know. And I'm not really sad about it. I'm a little disappointed, because I thought I was doing a good job, and I thought I was, following everything that she would prefer. And I didn't even care. I was happy to do that, because I'm happy to try to win back some of what we've lost. But maybe when you lose it in human life, maybe you don't ever really get it back. And I unfortunately have a few people in my life that I have inadvertently, I was intentionally lying, but not trying to intentionally hurt. I was really trying to protect myself, not recognizing that in doing that I was hurting them. Another lesson. All right, so I don't even know whether you got a point to this again. I'm not sure you should. This is another one of those ones. Hit the like button if you think you got something out of it. I'm not sure whether it was just me rambling and trying to figure it out for myself and I did it on camera, which I did get that wonderful insight about trust and love. So that's really cool. I like when that happens. But other than that, maybe this wasn't very productive. It's just really important to understand that spiritually, trust is a very different thing than it is in human terms. And spiritually, we always have trust because it's a part of love. But in human terms, not so much. You know, they go together, but it doesn't take much to knock you right over. So I'm sure glad I see the spiritual side of things. You know, glass half full. That's the way to be. Anyway, thanks for letting me ramble, and hopefully the next one will be a little more upbeat. I don't remember what the subject is, but I will try to blow up some balloons and have some happy music going on. I guess I'll see you next time. So thanks for stopping in.